This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
By making their inner world visible, women get in touch with their inner authenticity and develop personal artistic voice. Valeria Teles interviews Annette, the author of From Art to Empowerment, How Women Can Develop Artistic Voice. Annette, MED, MSc, is an artist, author, and freelance art educator and coach from the Netherlands, living and working in Greece. She has taught collage, mixed media, ceramics, and art and personal development in Athens for the past 20 years at schools, middle schools and high schools, and at cultural centers with adults. She is the author of From Art to Empowerment, How Women Can Develop Artistic Voice, an art workbook for women. The book is available on Amazon, Arkway, and Barnes & Noble as a print copy and as an ebook. Annette holds a master's degree in Sociology and Women's Studies of the University of Amsterdam, a post-doctorate degree in Cultural Management of Paris Dauphine University, and a master's degree in art education from the Maryland Institute College of Art, MICA, in Baltimore. Annette has specialized in art coaching and artistic talent development. The purpose of her teaching practice is to support artists, art students, and creatives in gaining increased self-awareness and understanding of their individual creative process, as well as to promote their personal and artistic growth, the development of their artistic voice. She has been studying and exploring the link between artistic expression and self-discovery in the visual arts, dance, and theater her whole life. In 2014, she created the Iris Art Center, a center for adult art education specialized in the development of personal artistic voice. Here, she organizes summer art workshops and artist coaching residencies in the Greek countryside about 20 miles north from the center of Athens. Now, due to Corona, she also coaches artists online. Meet Annette at www.annettelaus.com. Here's the interview with Annette Laus.
In your own words, who is Annette Luycx?
In my own words, I think I'm a soul explorer. I really strongly feel the idea of researching the soul qualities in myself and in others. It's very connected to the question: how does it feel? How does life feel? How does this experience feel? And I think that's one of the reasons why I turned to art, because art is such a fantastic medium to express soul qualities, because it has a visual language, and you can really create something that feels in a certain way. That is one quality of me, and the other thing that has been really important in my whole life is self-discovery and self-knowledge, self-actualization, everything that has to do with discovering who I am and also helping other people discover who they are. And so I combined art, the world of art and visual expression with self-discovery, and I created my own work around this theme that is so important to me. So it's really funny because my mom was a midwife and she helped women give birth to their babies. Mm-hmm. And the work that I do right now is I help women give birth to themselves.
I love that.
Yeah, I thought about that a few days ago, and I thought that's amazing. And through through bringing them back to themselves and helping them express it, they realize what their value is, and also what the meaning of their life is for them. Somehow women are so much directed to other people, to the needs of others, and to their relationships, and sometimes they forget to really pay attention to themselves and research their lives and what they want for themselves,
So true. Yes, I agree. And I will be asking you more questions to explore why that is and how you do your work too. And I love the way you say, the way you define yourself in a way, soul explorer. That's a beautiful way of saying that. What is the soul to you, Annette? Is that the same as the spirit?
The soul is, for me, is it feels like that's really that essence inside, that like a spiritual scent, that unique scent that everybody has. In a way, it is it feels so spiritual, the soul, but it feels like it is where all the goodness is, and all the generosity and positivity, and wanting to help other people, and being complete. It's like the end stadium of life. It's like it's in essence inside us. It's where you are when you leave, sort of. That's a little bit how it feels. Basically, like an essence, like the good seed that is inside of us.
My other initial questions, the warm-up questions part of it, is the meaning or the purpose of life. What do you think that is, the reason to be here?
The meaning of life, I think everybody has to find that for himself or herself. I don't think there is a universal meaning of life. I believe very strongly in astrology, and when you look at the individual chart of a person, it really looks like the person has come to Earth for a specific reason, to experience something, to learn something, to go through something. And astrology really convinced me that there is like a greater meaning for everybody in coming to this Earth. It sounds a bit funny. I've also, through being working with art, and I've done a series World Art, and I researched arts all over the world, Indonesia, Australia, and all these countries, art is like spiritual, and it has a relation with discovering who you are and why you are here, and what is meaningful. That is so important. What is meaningful? And that is a unique experience. What is meaningful for me may not be meaningful for you. So that is so beautiful that we cannot judge what other people are doing, because they are convinced that what they are doing is meaningful for them. So out of respect, we can have meaningful conversations with each other and trying to understand each other.
But it's very unique, and it's very individualized in that way, very personal. Even the idea of spirituality too, I noticed. Yeah, we have these ideas, individual ideas. What about empowerment? What is your understanding and idea of being empowered?
For me, empowerment has a very, very strong link to self-knowledge. So first of all, I think it starts, the first steps of empowerment is to have self-esteem, and to having become conscious of yourself, realizing who you are, esteeming who you are, developing self-awareness. It also has a link with believing in yourself and not needing outside validation anymore. So just knowing your own worth, knowing where you stand. I mean, if you look at empowered people like Michelle Obama or the way they talk in front of a big audience. They are empowered. They are just fully close to who they are. They esteem themselves. They know what they know, and and art making can foster empowerment. That's why I called my book From Art to Empowerment, because by making personal art, by expressing the images you encounter on the inside when you start a process of self-reflection, you get in touch with yourself and you discover what is meaningful for you, what makes your heart beat faster. And it sounds funny. I don't want to say that you fall in love with yourself. I mean, that's not what it is, but it is discovering what is meaningful and what is important to you can really give you a kick. Like, yes, I found it. This is it. Wow, I feel so strong. And so making art and visualizing those many things that you have inside you and starting to believe in yourself. I think that is empowerment, I think.
I love what you do, Annette. I really believe that artistic activities of any kind, it opens the door to deeper self-knowledge and self-awareness. And that's interesting when you say the empowerment has everything to do with knowing oneself. That also, to me, what is empowering about it is that we also feel more connected with everything around us. Then it's almost like separation disappears. That's a very, very powerful way of navigating this reality, isn't it? Let me talk about art for a moment. A lot of us believe that we cannot be artists because we are not creative. So they connect being creative to making art or being artistic. So my question is, do we need to make art in order to be creative, or we can be creative in different ways?
Yeah, you can absolutely be creative in different ways. There is this thing about art. It's like it is holy and it is connected to something that you cannot go near. It's unreachable or something, and it is also incredible to see that, especially women, how many women go to art shops and buy paints and brushes and canvases, and they go home and they have blushes on their cheeks, like, oh my God, I bought everything, going to start tomorrow, and they put it somewhere and they never start, and because it's so, they feel suddenly so blocked by themselves, because they're like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? What am I going to express? So making art, and then I will talk about creativity. Making art is the first steps are to sort of have a focus and to find an issue or a theme that really, that you feel passionate about, that makes your heart sing. And then to start with the first steps of expressing that. People sometimes think that they have to learn so many techniques, but it's not about how you paint. It is about what you paint. That is maybe the most. So in my book, I give all the steps how to start making art, and I use collage, which is a very easy way. But my book sort of removes all those blocks, like, oh my God, art is so difficult, because it connects self-reflective thinking, which is a way asking yourself questions, what is important to me, with visualization, with journaling, and then step by step, it's such an integrative process. Women discover what is important to them, and then they start making art around that issue, like real artists do. Basically, they have a focus, an idea first, and then they make art. They visualize their idea or their narrative that they have in their head. But being creative has to do, I think, with self-confidence and believing that you have good ideas and you can do something new. creativity is combining two things that don't really belong to each other, and finding a new way of expressing something. So creative cooking, for instance, or creative gardening, or it very much has to do with projecting your own personality into something that you really like gardening or cooking or whatever. Yeah, daring. It's also a question of daring to do it and facing your vulnerability. Like, oh, I'm trying this and it's not going to work, and other people are going to judge me and say, oh, look what she did. And so it also has to do with owning your ways and your vulnerability, and making art and creativity. Everything comes down to getting to know yourself and accepting yourself, and knowing what you're good at and what you're developing, and being content with that. So that's really important. And because your podcast is on healing, in that way, art making can be self-healing. If you get to know yourself through making art, it is self-healing eventually.
I wonder why so many of us, especially women, have these blocks. What do you think gets in the way when it comes to self-acceptance and self-love?
I think it has very, very much to do with, of course, I studied sociology and women's studies in Amsterdam in the 80s. So I'm very influenced by feminism and women's and gender studies, and they call it gender studies now. But I think that it comes down to patriarchy, to the fact that we are socialized in a society for thousands of years where the male establishment is the rule and is the norm. So it's still true that the female is less worthy than the male. And women aren't valued for what they do. I mean, I talk to people and they say, what are you talking about? It's 2021. And I say, you are not female, so you don't know that patriarchy is like the air we breathe. It is everywhere. It's in schools, it's in workplaces, it's in politics, it's in families. It's so strongly present that it will take hundreds of years. So to come back to your question, I think we are socialized to take care of the needs of others and constantly sustaining the relationships around us. So and we're not socialized to focus on personal development and individuation. So when we are finally adults, we are so influenced that it's really hard to. I mean, so many women say, yeah, but I don't want to become an egoist. And I say, but you're not an egoist when you put yourself first, and when your life is the most important thing for you, and that's where you go for. Then you're not an egoist. You have the right to choose first for yourself. And unless, of course, you have babies and stuff. But I mean, generally in your life, people always say, yes, but my husband, yes, but my mother, yes, but my sister. It is a really interesting thing. And I also think that the coaching industry has taken such a flight. So many women have entered this world of being coached into a stronger, more self-confident woman.
So, yeah, this is something it needs to change. And I think it is slowly changing, right, Annette? Hopefully.
Yes, it is slowly changing. It absolutely is slowly changing. But like yesterday, I had a quick conversation with my 27-year-old daughter. And we exchanged our experiences as women. And we both agree that we constantly try to do more and better, and to really feel that we are performing right. So in society, well, men don't feel this need to reach like 100%. They they just do what they need to do, and then it's okay. I mean, that's how it feels when you are really trying to establish yourself as a woman in a professional environment.
Let me ask you this question, Annette, before I begin asking you questions about your book. Freedom. What is your idea of freedom? What is to be free from your perspective?
Freedom.
Yeah.
Wow, what is freedom for me? Yes, I think freedom is discovering a way of living that works for you instead of against you. So it means very much. I mean, like when you see seagulls fly in the sky, they find the currents, the air currents, and then they use the currents of the air in the sky to save energy and to sort of to fly in an economic way and not flap their wings till they're exhausted. And I think that is very much has to do also for me with freedom, like using the currents and being relaxed about life. And that's the first image I get about freedom is
Yeah, I love that idea.
Using the currents of life instead of doing what is easy and doing what gives joy in your life, focusing on what gives joy, positive thinking, always mentioning what went well in a situation and not what didn't go well. That gives a feeling of freedom, like you are in control when you mention the positive things. And you mention, I'm going with the flow and it's all going to be all right. You immediately feel relaxed and happy and free.
So you wrote the book From Art to Empowerment, How Women Can Develop Artistic Voice. What was the main inspiration and intention of writing your book?
I absolutely didn't have any intention to write a book. I think I was very insecure. I was like everybody of other people write books, but I will never be able to write a book. But the thing is, when I turned 50, I thought, okay, now I'm 50. Kids are leaving the house. Empty nest is dawning. I have to do something, otherwise it's going to be really hard for me. And as I had started to teach collage, I thought, wow, there is a low residency program in art education in the United States. And that is so appealing for me. I'm going to get myself a master's in art education because I want to know everything about adult art education. So I did that master's in art education. And during my studies, we had to do a research in one of our groups. So that's what I combined. I did the qualitative research in one of my groups. I wanted to see how artistic abilities and development in self-identity are connected when women make art. And so that was my research. I never intended to write a book around that research. But at the same time, one of my students said to me, what else is there to learn in order to become a real artist? And I thought, well, that is exactly finding a story of self, finding your own narrative and expressing that in art. That is what you need to learn to become a real artist. So piece by piece, it started to sort of develop itself. And the other thing that pushed me in writing the book is that the studies in whatever you study are so theoretical. And while you are reading about creativity and artistic voice and artistic abilities, you think, oh, wow, this stuff is so interesting for ordinary people to know this and to apply this, and then they can make art, But there are not a lot of practical books for adults on how to make art. So I felt I slowly started feel a little bit like a missionary, like, oh my God, I have to bring this information to all these women that want to make art. So that also added to the thought. And then plus my professor at MICA, where I studied, she said, "Oh, this is so interesting. This stuff is so interesting. You really have to write a book about this." So then I was like, okay, I just have to do it now.
Yeah.
And it was hard, but I'm really happy with my book.
Yes, me too, Annette. It's very inspiring. And I love your art too, the collage that I have seen on your website and in the book too. There's something about that transcends this reality. Imagination, that's what the word you use. And that's what it does to us. Just by looking at it, it just kind of transports us to a different reality that is very imaginative. Yeah. It's very light, playful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's photomontage is ideal to create new realities. Absolutely.
Right. Talk to me for a moment about the connection between imagination, self-expression, self-discovery, self-awareness, and freedom.
Yeah, imagination for me is like something that exists next to the gut brain and the heart and the mind. For me, the imagination is like an entity that has been completely misunderstood by humanity.
Right.
to talk in huge big words. I think that the imagination sort of sticks everything together. Art is maybe the space of the senses, the visual, the audio. And the psychology is the soul and the inner world, and spirituality is the quest for meaning. And then the imagination sort of directs this whole alchemy. It's like a new language. Anything you think of or write or see can be changed by the imagination. Can be. I mean, if you look at what the surrealists did, for instance, they looked at the world subreal, so outside reality, and it was the world of dreams and fantasy, and it is true. You can combine anything with anything. I do this exercise in my classes when I say, "Oh, you say you don't have good imagination." I say, but you can imagine that you're an astronaut and you board your Apollo and you're on your way to Venus, and then you're going to Jupiter, and then you're going to Pluto. And you can imagine doing that. Or you can imagine opening a restaurant in Paris and starting to cook fantastic foods for your guests. You can imagine that. So you can imagine everything. And sort of surrendering to the imagination and loving the fact that it is boundless. I think it's the first step to really start using the imagination for seeing how you can be, how you would like to be. How you would be if you were a really good, well-known artist. I mean, you don't have to be it. You can imagine that you are a well-known artist and your art is splendid. You can imagine that. So the thing is that from the imagining, it's like working from the future back to the present. A lot of an incredible development can happen, because when you put your mind on an idea, your actions change.
Right.
So I hope that answered your question a bit.
Very much. It opens the door to possibilities. That's what it is, isn't it, Annette? Infinite possibilities.
Yeah. And kids in school, they don't learn to use their imagination as much as they could, you know?
Yeah. It's more learning knowledge. It's all about the intellect more than imagination. Do you connect imagination to intuition?
Yes, I think there is a connection. Intuition is another human capacity that is completely misunderstood, because lots of people say, I think I'm intuitive, but I don't really know, because where is the intuition? How do you know you're intuitive? And so that has to do also a little bit with what I said about freedom. It is going with the flow and following the air currents in the as a bird in the air, in the heavens. The intuition is also just sensing in a situation, and and seeing what appears in front of your inner eye. The imagination, in a way, is the inner eye. So if you sense something with your intuition, you get a thought or you get an image. I just maybe quickly tell this. It's so interesting. My mom was a midwife, and she had a very strong intuition. And one night she was called from the hospital. And while she was starting her car at 5 a.m, she got the image of an elbow in front of her inner eye. She saw a little elbow in front of her inner eye. She thought, why am I getting this image? She went to the hospital, and there was this woman giving birth to twins. One baby was out and the other couldn't get out. And my mama remembered the elbow and took on a glove and carefully went into the woman and just gave it a little push, the little elbow, and floop, here was the second baby. And everybody said, how did you know? And she said, well, I saw an elbow when I was starting my car. So it is clearly how the intuition and the imagination work together, because the imagination is the library of images we have.
Right.
It's the library of images.
It takes trust, doesn't it, Annette, to navigate the intuitive and even imaginative realities. Sometimes I'm not sure if it takes a trust, courage, or really surrendering. Would you say a combination of all those three, or one more than the other?
I think it is a combination. It's a combination. I think the most important is trust. I think just trust in life, but it also has to do with being okay with whatever happens, trying your best. But if things do not work out, accepting that we are on earth and things go wrong and we make mistakes and we have to do it again and we learn, and the next time we do it in a different way. So trusting that it is okay if things go in a different way than you expected, or things go wrong, as we say sometimes. And then, just having the courage to, when it goes wrong, to get up and continue and try another time. And I don't know what happens somewhere along the way. Adults sort of stop trying. I mean, when you look at when children learn to walk, they fall down like for a whole year and then they finally walk. But every time they fall, they don't say, oh, well, just leave it. I'm just not going to get up anymore because.
True. True.
So it's a combination of the three, I think.
What have we been missing? Like, why we are not using all these faculties that we have, these capabilities we have? That's a very good question. Let me see. In your book, you have the 12-week workshop and you have the 12 sessions. Each one of them explore a different theme. I specifically love the section 6, feelings, and section 7, spirituality and personal symbols. We have been talking about this in a way. And then you have, at the end, I absolutely love too, you have this list of feelings when your needs are satisfied. And then you have a list of feelings when your needs are not satisfied.
Yeah.
So that's very insightful to see that. Really great, though. So talk to me for a moment before I ask you my final questions about the Iris Art Center in Greece.
Yeah, I organized the workshop for 12 weeks, but I also have special workshops that are 6 days based on the book Discovering Artistic Voice. And so it's an intense workshop, and we work every day about 2 hours on the chapters in the book. And it's amazing how fast women connect to themselves when they find an issue of personal interest, which they discover from their writing. They ask themselves, who am I and what is important to me? And they write a few lines, and then from the words that they use, they see images behind those words. And for instance, freedom. And then, like what I said with the bird flying in the sky, you can make a collage of this, of a bird flying. That is your collage on freedom. And then you can continue with that. You can say, okay, what memories do I have of freedom? What dreams do I have? How does freedom feel for me? And what image do I see behind that feeling? What is the color of freedom for me? So it is all it's self-reflective thinking and visualizing. And the more you practice visualizing and connecting visualization with your language, so translating your words into images, the easier it becomes to make art. And then from collage, you can start painting, because you are sort of mesmerized by the ideas and the images you have in your head. So, and I don't only use the book for this workshop. I also organize artist residencies where I work one-on-one with women artists from all over the world. And it also works very well in this method in my coaching residencies, where I help women find new trails in their artistic expression. And I teach them how it is connected to their life and their life experiences and their self-identity.
That is a fantastic journey, isn't it? So that's a wonderful work of you guiding these women to get to know the depth of themselves, the inner world, as you call it. I love that. Yeah. Thank you, Annette, again, for this beautiful and true to my heart kind of work.
Yeah, I discovered this idea of the internet. There is the internet, World Wide Web, but there is also the internet. So you can type the word freedom in the Google bar of your imagination, press enter, and then everything that is stored in your imagination that has a relationship with freedom just pops up. And it's if you do it a few times, it really works well, and you get so many ideas with working with your internet.
And before we end the conversation today, I have a few more questions for you here, the ending questions. But before that, would you like to add anything or read a passage in your book?
Add anything to read a passage in my book. Yeah, I can read a passage from my book. Dip. Yeah, I can read a passage from the conclusion, basically, because it's as follows. The process of artistic development can help women become who they really are and discover their true self-identity. Especially for women, it is mandatory to discover who they really are and accept themselves the way they are, in order to enjoy the beauty, worth, and meaning of their own lives. They should not be dependent on the opinions or judgments of others, men and women, in their lives. Getting to know yourself and becoming aware of who you are is the key to personal power, individuation, having a dialogue with oneself, and having a voice. Art making is a practical tool for women to discover who they are, because it provides a visual process to discover what is important to them and what they are passionate about. Making art is integrative. It works on all levels of the human psyche and gives tactical results of the process. Collage making is an especially easy way to start artistic explorations. Some of my students couldn't draw or paint, but they developed their ability to cut and paste photographs and colored shapes, and to choose color for their artwork, because they were able to consciously look for the images they wanted or the colors that felt right. Art making gives women the possibility to monitor their own progress in expressing who they are. I wanted to know more about the process of artistic development and its relation to the development of self-identity, because I felt art was a way to help women become who they really are, discover their true self-identity, and see how art making is a way to cultivate themselves and to grow. It is a way to discover one's own voice, to believe in it, and to develop it.
So 2 more questions for you, the ending questions. What is another word for healing?
Another word for healing. I think it has to do very much with relaxing and accepting, and I think it has to do with becoming relaxed.
Right.
Maybe finding peace.
Yeah, we just connected, right? It's interesting how you've been saying that a lot. Yeah, relaxing, this flowing with life. Yeah, feeling free, the feeling of freedom. So I agree.
And what else is really important, I think, is that when people are sick or when they have a problem, they go to somebody else. Okay, they go to a specialist, they go to a doctor or a psychologist, and they wait till the other person heals them. And what I have discovered is self-healing is so important. When you have a problem, sit down, open your journal, start writing, ask yourself, what is wrong with me? Why am I so tense? Why do I have this pain in my belly? What is wrong with me? Right. And sometimes I tell people, talk with your belly. Ask yourself, say, belly, what's wrong with you? Why are you so painful? And because you have to take an active attitude in life. You have to be willing to solve something and to be open to figure out what is ailing you. So I think self-healing is so important.
I'm so glad you said that. What an important message of accessing our inner power. Yeah, we are the only ones really that can heal ourselves, from my understanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No one can do that. Yeah. So my last question is, what are 3 things about life you know for sure as of this moment?
3 things I know about life for sure. I think life is gorgeous. I think life is really gorgeous. And I am not a person that had an easy life. I want to say that. I've lost a brother. I went through hardship. But every time you come out of hardship, you are like a phoenix coming out of the ashes. And you realize how much you have learned and how much you have grown. And every time you come out of hardship, it seems like life is even more beautiful. The colors are even more beautiful. And you start to value so much the time you have on earth. And I also think that what I value is learning to live in the present moment and to really, really let go of the past and enjoy the present moment and all the gifts that are there all the time, the light, the colors, people that smile at you. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you for your work and your presence here today, our conversation, for your patience off record with the technology. That was cute. That's part of it too, right? Being patient. So before we say goodbye, where can we find more information about you, your books, products, services, and future projects?
Yes, I have 2 websites. The one is www.Annette Luycx, Luycx.com. And my work website is www.irisartcenter, center is with TRE.com. And I called my art center, Iris, because it is a woman, goddess from Greek mythology, and she brings messages from the gods to the humans. So she is the goddess of inspiration. And that's why I called it Iris Art Center. And there I have my workshops, my weekly lessons, and my residency programs. And I also do online residencies now for a week. I connect with artists 2 hours a day, and we work intensively on finding new trails in their artistic expression and their artistic voice.
I'll have those links on your podcast profile below. Thank you so much again, Annette, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. It was such an honor, and I'm very happy that I got to meet you.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much again. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Annette Luycx and her work, please visit www.annetteluycx.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.